Setup punchline is one of the key kind of foundational techniques in your freestyling repertoire. And I'm going to explain how this works. I'm going to just switch to my screen, show you my screen, and explain how we use setup punchline in our freestyles. I'm going to explain setup punchline using the multisyllable rhymes setup and punchline practice. So let's have a look. In this practice, words flash up for you to rhyme to. And the first word is tribal. Now, one approach to this might be trying to think of a line that ends in the word tribal and then trying to think of a rhyming line. So for example, my rhythm is ancient and tribal. Try to test me, there's no survival. Okay, so we're starting with the word tribal in the first line and trying to think of a rhyming word. However, setup punchline reverses that process. It means that you're starting with a rhyming word for tribal, let's say survival, and then we're ending the second line or each of the following lines with the punchline, with the word tribal in this case. For example, try to test me, there's no survival. My rhythm's ancient, call it tribal. Now by ending in the word tribal, by ending with the punchline, having a setup line and then delivering the punchline, this is more effective. It stays in your listeners' ears, it creates more impact, and it just sounds great when you kind of see the line coming. You've got survival and they know that you're going to be putting the word tribal in, and that you're kind of just setting that up so you can really hit that word. So using setup punchline is just a key technique in your freestyle repertoire, and we're trying to always get those really effective words on the punchline, so setting them up and then delivering them so they stay etched in your reader's mind, because often you're then going on to a different rhyme, but those second lines or fourth lines or sixth or eighth lines, they're the ones that are going to be resonating, the second part of the couplet. Let's continue by looking at a few more words. So the next word that comes up is sentence. So again, the first line of the couplet, we want something that rhymes with sentence. And then in the second line, we have the punchline that's going to end in the word sentence. Okay, so I'm like Da Vinci with my lyrical inventions. It's weird, I set you free with a sentence. Okay, so again, that punchline, I set you free with a sentence. You set it up with inventions and then you've knocked it down with sentence. Getting sharp at this, so this becomes natural, so that you're kind of honed your technique to hit these punchlines, is really going to make, as I said before, your freestyles stand out. It's going to give them maximum impact. If you listen to a freestyle rapper like Harry Mack, they have perfected this technique, and he's talked about this in an interview about how he specifically works on setup, punchline. Let's look at another word. So next word is element. So, going back to the conventional approach, by not using setup punchline, you might say, when it comes to rap, I'm in my element, the bass line splits the sediment. Okay, but by having setup punchline, you're going to start with sediment. The bass line splits the sediment. When it comes to rap, I'm in my element. Okay, and you're setting it up, element comes as your punchline. Let's look at one more. What do we have here? Artist. Okay, so again, let's think of a setup line, a word that rhymes or that's close enough in the sound to artists. Okay, so I'm going to go with harvest for this one. Okay, so I plant seeds, then I bring in the harvest. MCs can't cope with this artist. So I want you to practice in the Build the Rhyme Muscle section of this course, those setup and punchline tracks. Practice specifically creating a setup line and hitting a punchline. Now you can practice this without a beat to start with. you can just look at the rhymes, kind of click through them, and you can think, what would the setup line be? What would a punchline be? Or what would the punchline be? And you can write these down. You can really take your time. So for example, if we're looking at reality, okay, you can think, okay, no beat. You can just think, what would a rhyme be for the word reality? So you might think, okay, let's go with a fallacy. Okay, so you can then take your time, maybe write down a line, try to construct something. Thinking I have a weakness, that's a fallacy. I'm invincible in reality. And you can write that down, or you can think it through, and then you can go to the next word. You can go as slow as you need to start building up this setup and punchline. Eventually, you want to be trying to put that to the beat. Let's have a look at an example of how this might work with the beat. Testing me, there's no survival. My style is tribal. I put in MCs in detention. I set you free with the sentence. Bass splits the sediment. When it comes to rap, I'm in my element. So watch when I start this. Approach it like a starving artist. I'm hungry. No fallacy. Bring it real. This is reality. And I spit something good for the society. Lyrical variety. Flow like a dream. Freestyles, I'm a freestyle machine. My style is unusual, but people look and they say, wow, it's beautiful. When I'm performing, like B.I.G., I'm sending out a warning. Bringing flavor. At the end of the day, I stack paper.